Yeah, go for it.
We are starting this meeting of the Bonner Milltown Community Council on December 8th, 2025 at 7:04. Please put your cell phones on vibrate or silent and mute through Zoom. Roll call. I'm Rick Hall. I'm the chair.
I'm Emily Herndon, secretary.
Karen James, treasurer.
Jane Kipp.
Jessica Gledke, alternate.
And
Remember.
John's online. John Wilkie's online.
Okay, so we have everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there any chance to take a look at it?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion's been made by Jane to approve the agenda. A
I'll
second?
second.
Seconded by Karen. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Next is approval of minutes from October 10th.
It should have been 11 something.
Oh, you're right, it's 11 something.
11:10.
11:10.
11:10, okay. Correct the agenda. And do we have a motion to approve that?
I will motion to approve.
And I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, my favorite part, the Bonner History Tidbit.
My favorite part, too.
Yeah.
I like the rest of it. Well, this is a really special one. On December 16th, 2011, the Missoulian announced new owners take over Stimson's Bonner Mill site. At 3 p.m., the papers were signed, and the Bonner Property Development, owned by Steve Nelson and Mike Boehm, took over the property from Stimson Lumber Company. In June 2012, they hired Mike Heisey to renovate the Bonner houses. One by one, the houses were restored and rented. In time, appreciating Mike's work ethic and skills, Mike B. and Steve brought Mike H. on as a partner in the business, and he serves as general manager. Fast forward to 2021. Bonner Property Development sold the historic mill homes, with initial sales starting in early 2021 of the houses on this side of the highway. In 2022, the remaining houses on the mill site were sold. These sales represent significant changes for the former company town, transitioning the houses from employment-tied housing to privately owned residents with families creating their own news stories. But let's take a look back at when the houses were new. In December 2013, the Bonner Milltown History Center newsletter carried the article, "After years of neglect, Bonner homes live again, a stroll down memory lane." Here are a few excerpts. Newly remodeled and leased houses along White House Lane again bustle with the activities of children and their adults. The street is familiarly known as Silkstocking Row, from the days when the Queen Anne-style homes housed mill management. One Bonner visitor, Marcy Valentini, cherishes memories of visits to her grandparents Willis and Jessie Ross. At age 20, in 1909, a young Willis Ross went to work for M. Cunham Copper Mining Company, and he worked at the mill in Bonner until age 75, retiring after more than 50 years with the company. A top-notch bandsaw filer, he supervised the filing room and frequently traveled all over the Northwest teaching the craft to young filers. The Ross's life on Silkstocking Row is first recorded as residents of House 5. That's the house at the end of White House Lane that's near the mill. Built prior to 1908, the ACM records have named the house the Clinic House after the first known tenant. Willis and Jessie settled into their home for the next 25 years. During their life in Bonner, Willis was active in community life, serving on the library committee and Bonner School Board of Trustees. Willie Bateman worked as a saw filer for Willis. He recalls that the Ross porch was covered by climbing clematis vines, producing beautiful pink and purple blossoms each summer. Willis and Jessie raised daughters Peggy and Betty in the Bonner house. Peggy's daughter Marcy fondly remembers visits I spent most of my life here until 1961, visiting my grandparents, skating on the wooden sidewalks and having pie at the restaurant by the post office. Living in the Bonner houses was not a permanent situation, with families moving to bigger or nicer houses as they became available or when management changed. Before leaving White House Lane and turning the corner to head up the Blackfoot, we will pass welcoming House 9, which now graces the end of the street. Glenn Smith and Jim Willis recall that while managers traditionally moved into larger managers' houses, the accession of Howard Dix to manager in 1957 was an exception. The new manager's family stayed put because Mrs. Dix had the house remodeled to her suited and loved her home too much to move. Amid the new life the houses enjoy, fond memories of former residents are recalled by History Center volunteer Glenn Smith, aka the Hooligan. What an incredible experience to actually see these old houses get a second chance at living. Of the second house on the highway, number 9422, Hooligan writes, "My favorite memory of this house is when George LaForge and his wife Mary lived there. I remember George as a supervisor for the Mills Powerhouse. His wife Mary was a very talented piano teacher, loved by all her students. For 25 cents, she would teach a lesson and then provide a ride home during times of bad weather. George and Mary also paid me 10 cents to fill their firewood box during the winter months. The profits of my labors were quickly spent at the soda fountain for a double-decker orange sherbet ice cream cone. Life just didn't get any better than that." The Bonner Milltown History Center has compiled a book about the houses and residents. Stop by to browse the book and share your stories and pictures of the Bonner houses. The roundtable program, Stories of the Bonner Houses, can be viewed online at bonnermilltownhistory.org. So in closing, I'm offering an early bouquet to Mike and Steve and Mike, and heartfelt appreciation for that December 16th in 2011.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for our presenter? No? Thank you very much. Next is a period for public comment on items not on the agenda, so that would be anything we're not talking about tonight. And everyone is welcome. If you're online, just raise your hand or unmute your phone. Anyone in the room? Quiet group.
We got other times to do this.
All right, we'll move on to announcements, of which there are none.
I have one announcement, Rick.
Okay, great.
Just that my daughter Abigail is here in the back, visiting from Philadelphia, to see how the sausage is made here in Bonner.
Nice. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh?
Riveting.
Next, speakers, none. Bouquet period. So bouquet period is a chance for us, as was pointed out earlier, to recognize people in the community for contributions or service or anything else. So if anyone has one, Gary looks like he wants to raise his hand.
There's a, in Milltown, where there used to be a gas station, it's not a gas station anymore, they have a lighted Christmas
I saw
tree on top of it, of a high
Yeah,
tower, and it's so cool.
yeah.
The only thing I've seen better than that is the pumpkin on top of Old Main. Has anybody else seen that?
No?
So sometimes, during the Halloween time, somebody puts a pumpkin on the very top of Old Main at the University of Montana. And it's dark. How did they get there? And so this tree is a little bit similar to that. How did they get up there? They did a great job. Okay to those guys.
Great, thank you.
Agreed.
Anyone else? All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment again. Public comment on the bouquet period, I guess. Next item is communications. The Blackfoot Crossing project application and other supporting documents are now available for review. That may or may not be true. Residents are welcome to review the documents and submit public comment. The Missoula Consolidated Planning Board will review the project at its meeting at 6 p.m. Tuesday, January 6th. Residents are welcome to attend the meeting in person or virtually, although that may not be true because we hear that the application is now pending for a lack of sufficiency. So we went to look at it and it was not available. So that means that it has not worked its way out of review with the planning department. And maybe Greg can tell us about what's going on there later. 2, seeking applicants for 1 regular member and 2 alternate members to serve on the Missoula Consolidated Land Use Board, MC Club. That's kind of a cool acronym. The Missoula County Consolidated Land Use Board members must reside outside the limits of the city of Missoula and have a primary residential address located in the unincorporated county with county zoning. Meetings are scheduled monthly with occasional extra meeting depending on project submissions. The county commissioners are seeking candidates from across Missoula County who have a strong background in the following areas: natural, historic, and cultural resources, agriculture, housing, economic development, architecture and design, land use planning, engineering and surveying, real estate, and land use law. The Missoula County Consolidated Land Use serves the role of Planning Board, Zoning Commission, Board of Adjustment, and Planning Commission. In these roles, the board makes recommendations to the county commissioners on proposals related to growth policies and land use plans, zoning code and zoning map amendments, major subdivisions, and most amendments to the subdivision regulations. The board has decision-making authority on zoning variances, zoning special exceptions, and administrative action appeals. Apply by Wednesday, December 10th. And that's
2 days.
2 days from now. So let me grab my water real quick. You do not have to have a whole lot of experience. They take people like me, so you just have to have passion for how land is used and kind of the law as well. I think that the first meeting on January 6th probably is not going to happen because I'm supposedly on that board and I haven't heard anything about it yet. So if there are any questions about that, you can look at boards, MissoulaCounty.us application. That's about it for our announcements. Next is our very small treasurer's report.
No changes. 110 and 41 cents.
And it may be going to zero sometime soon.
Right.
That's not how we.
I don't think we're going to be handling it anymore.
Yeah, our budget now is handled and paid directly by the county. So that's how they're doing it for all boards now. Action items, Blackfoot Crossing letter of support, proposed content due now. So I'll give everyone an update on that part. Because I am supposedly on the Missoula County Consolidated Land Use Board, and I'm also on the Zoning Board of Adjustment till it is gone, and on the Missoula Consolidated Planning Board. I'm recusing myself on the Blackfoot Crossing because I will have to make decisions, be one of the people making decisions about every part of phasing, assuming that it moves forward. And I can't have my signature on a letter of support and be impartial. So I am letting the rest of the community council make the decisions on this. I've talked to John about it and Emmy about it. So I'm not going to try to guide it anyway. As the chair, I'll be happy to answer any points of order.
So based on that, with you recusing yourself at this point for this discussion, then can we bring in our alternate, I assume?
Yeah, I think we can.
That'd be great. Cool. So can I make an emotion?
promote our alternate?
Yes,
Yes.
to promote Jessica Glovke to the conversation and discussion. So she'll be signing any notes that we propose. So, since you're off the discussion, do you want me to leave this?
Yeah, you can leave it.
Okay. So just as a bit background history, we've been discussing this for several months on what Blackfoot Community Crossing looks like, what the proposal is, and at this point, I feel like there are parts, I'm gonna summarize it, as there are parts we like, there are parts we don't like, as we've been hearing from the community as in general. So we've been asked to make a statement and a letter that represents the community. So we would like to kind of tonight decide what that letter looks like, what that does, and what I am sitting at the table I will personally say, I think there's some parts to support, but I also want to hear from the community on parts we don't disagree with, we don't like. So that we have a full vision of the community that the county commissioners can take our thoughts on. Council, do you have comments on that?
No, I think it sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
So you had started a motion to make Jessica.
Oh, yes,
Don't
sorry.
we need to second it
Thank you.
and vote
Can I
on
get a
it?
motion to make, thank you, no, thank you, Jane, for keeping me on track tonight. I'm usually better at this. This was
I'll second it. How's
Motion,
that?
I'll make a motion to put Jessica Gillespie as a member of the council for this discussion. A second is made by Jane Kipp. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, can I get a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Okay, so that's the background.
Okay.
Jane, comments?
I think that we need to look over every line in the letter and discuss it, because I think there are just so many questions and so many people haven't been showing up. Yeah.
We have no letter written today.
Yeah, right.
So just as clarification, we're discussing it today with the goal of writing a letter that we will then put up a special meeting. So we will put that on Facebook. We'll put it through the listserv. If you're not on our listserv, please contact us. Our email is there. So you get this information to your hot little hands. And so that would be like, tonight we're thinking of all the stuff we want to add into that letter, yays, nays, concerns, and then have that thoughtfully put together. And then we present it to the community again to say yes, 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 or no, no, whatever it is. Like, you don't like the letter, you don't like this, and then ultimately us as a council will decide the final letter. But this gives the community here online and everybody here on the council more time to talk about it. And that letter, the draft letter, will be put into that agenda. So you guys will see it in advance. Before that special meeting. I suspect our special meeting will be as quickly as possible because these guys also have a timeline, correct? So we want this done before the holidays hit and everybody goes away. We are given, as a council, we're given 72 hours to produce a notice. Am I correct on that? 72 hours to produce a notice to the community to let you know where, when, and stuff like that. So that might also hinge on us being able to use this space. So this works really well. So, but we'll coordinate that with Bonner School. So any questions about the process? Great. John, do you have are you good with the process so far on what we're discussing tonight?
I think so. I was under the impression from the last meeting we were waiting for the final application to be published before we made a decision, and has that happened yet? I don't think it has, right?
I'll let Greg answer that question. Or his person next to him. I apologize, I forgot your name, and
No worries. Jane Robacher with WGM Group. So I think it was online at one point. The community council has at least received a copy of it because they are an agency that can comment. So that was, I believe, sent to probably Rick, being the chair of the community council. So that has been out there. There is a portion, I would say, of the application of the growth policy and the zoning request out there that is public. But as it is right now, I'm looking at the website, and I agree with Rick that it is not all out there. They have a new communications person, I believe, at the county, and so this website's been a little bit funky, if you will. And so we will check on that tomorrow and see the status of that. But just a couple other quick notes there. I see on your agenda you have that the planning board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 6th. Tentatively, as our understanding, that is January 20th at 6 p.m. and that will be heard by the Consolidated Land Use Board that Rick had mentioned earlier. And then tentatively also scheduled for February 5th before the county commissioners. But again, those are tentative dates until we get through this last bit of sufficiency. There's a couple comments that we still need to address from the county for sufficiency.
And there are 3 parts in there. The growth policy and zoning are on there,
Correct.
but subdivision
Is not. And because the full subdivision packet isn't there, the rest of the supporting material is not there, and so that's why I say it's partly there for the growth policy and the zoning. It's clunky at best, I will tell you.
We've had troubles with the county.
Yeah, just as far as this website goes and posting on it.
I was able to just request it directly from Jeannie. So if anybody wants a copy of the whole thing, you can email the county and they will send it to you.
Yes, great.
Yeah, and we can send it to you or.
Mhm.
Yeah, happy to do so.
You want to resend that to us, and then I can get it out to
Yep, can do.
that, so I'll put that as an action item. Thank you. And as you can tell by the timeline, we do have some time. And if you did completely disagree with the council's letter, you have these opportunities as an individual to show up and say, I completely disagree with this, or for various reasons, either one, support or in favor or not in favor. So just because the council puts a ruling in does not mean as an individual, you don't have that right to stand up maybe on January 20th and the 5th to make your voices heard. So I want to make that really clear to everybody in this room. Gary first, and then we'll come on over here.
No, I'm sorry, you missed the date change from January 6th
Yeah.
to
January 20th.
20th. Thanks.
Yep.
And you can correct me on any that I got wrong. Okay. Question over here.
Yeah, is the availability of those documents in a more straightforward public fashion going to be remedied before this letter is drafted? Because like clunky website, got like
Yep.
emailing the county, like that's not
We'll
going to.
just send it, we'll send it directly to community council.
Right, that's not.
And then you distribute it to.
But yeah,
Yeah, but if we're drafting a letter tonight,
We're not drafting a letter tonight. No.
Like that's still not like a public website where people can go to. They're going to have to be in touch with the council.
we will, I will talk to the county tomorrow about correcting this and getting it out there.
Okay, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Andrew,
Thanks.
are
And it
you?
may be that it's not public out there, the whole thing, because we haven't technically gone all the way through sufficiency review. And so normally it's just agencies that are commenting on sufficiency review and not the general public.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, Andrew, are you online to be able to comment on any of that as a county? Ping. We'll try to, Andrew Hagemeyer's on, and he's on the county, so he can probably maybe give us an answer, but he is not unmuting himself, so I'm not sure he's hearing us. But, I mean, I want to make sure that we have a little more time, too, than now that's not January 6th, so we can completely keep this discussion on board. We can make a draft, we can come together, have that other information, and we can make another draft. I'm sure anybody on this council has no problem with meeting multiple times to make sure you guys feel heard. So, because I really want to make sure. Good, Andrew.
Andrew, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I was just having technical difficulty. What's your specific question? I may be able to answer it.
The availability of having that information updated and on Missoula County Voice, so all community councils can, or all community members can see that.
Yeah. What I can email the planning department tomorrow and let them know that it's not available, and then, you all are curious about something that's available. It is public information at this point. It's in the basic. I don't know if there's a policy around putting it on the website. Sufficiency of the lead.
That'd be,
Yeah, adios.
sorry, yeah.
I think generally he was saying what I was saying is that, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay with putting up a draft letter and you guys going, I want more information, and giving it 3 more days or a week or 5 more days, trying to get as close to that January date so that that letter is sitting on those decision makers' desk as a community. So we're good with this so far. I'll give a summary review, and please chime in because I'm going to miss stuff, council, of stuff we have liked from many years of talking about this is affordable housing. That is, that comes down from just, and I'll give my personal experience, I have small children. I want them to be able to live in Montana. And right now I'm scared of my 8 and 11-year-old not being able to buy a home. So affordable housing comes down to actually community letters and surveys in the past. It's affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. So that's a bonus to this. Bonus number 2 is when we did the, we as a council and community talked about when they redid the subdivision there and went down to, changed it to that medium industrial. It was, we had many people in the community say, why is it even industrial? Can't we get them to change this? So it is an industrial site. That means different land use and may not be the land use we want as a community. So do we want industrial, heavy industrial? Do we want a gravel pit? Do we want an oil refinery? Do we want those kind of things? Or do we want affordable housing? So those are some positives. Some negatives, as Jessica and many others will put, is there's commercial. There's, another gas station potential. There's a casino, there's a restaurant. Those are those kind of commercials in there that we may not want. There is a water treatment plant that is specific for that subdivision, that is not enforcing anyone within the community to hook up to. But we also know that those septics could be a potential problem in those communities that are already existing there, and they may have not have the alternative of being able to sell their house because they don't have a septic system that's working well. So then that also brings in, like, if you want water septic, where are we going to get it? If we don't have some other alternative that's sitting in there, I've heard this many times in the community of, we don't want to be annexed by Missoula. We want to stay Missoula County. But if we don't have good septic options, such as a water treatment plant, what is that going to look like? So those are some of the things, broad things that are on the table that as a community we may like or not like. But I want to open up the floor because I know there's more and I missed a lot here. So another one concern is how heavy that density is for that housing. Do we want, how much density? How much control do we have of that density? Our discussions right now are saying we don't have a lot of control over density if we want density to make this happen. Or do we, so those are concerns. So I'll open up the council first, then I'll come to you very first on the line. Cool.
I think we talked about a traffic issue, and just, because that one light at the town pump and how that's going to all flow through there is a concern, but I appreciate the opening up of the river access and public lands and really community building that you've spoken to. So, Jane?
The water and how it will affect all existing wells and actually the river in this time of drought.
The video is choppy on here for the online people. Is it a little bit better now? John, concerns we've missed, thoughts we've missed. If they can hear me. I'm not sure they can hear me. Come on, Bonner School. Wi-Fi? Okay, let me see if I can switch over to a different Wi-Fi here real quick.
Do you want to switch to my
That's what I just did.
setup?
Yeah, I might, yeah. Okay, how is this online?
Another point to consider is fire-wise, how densifying that area would matter. I mean, you've got a log yard, an actual log yard very close to it. And you've got the hill that's burned before on the other side.
Okay. John, any comments online on stuff we've missed? I know you probably haven't heard everything I've said. I'm muted because technical difficulties with Rick's computer. I'm muted right now, so as soon as he's up, we will be good.
I think we just ran out of power.
No, I just ran out of power.
Rick's computer died.
Rick's computer died, so we're getting it back up. So I apologize. That's why you weren't getting my audio or talking to me or hearing me, even though I'm really, really, really loud. Yeah, it's up in just a minute. He's going to get it in, and there's going to be a screech, and I will shut off my audio. So as soon as this is up and running, I will let John. As soon as this is up and running, I'll let John speak, and then I will open up the floor there. You've got some more. Jessica, do you have
haven't commented.
Jessica, you can take the floor. I'm sorry.
No problem. Just to segue from James' comment, just so everybody knows, if you didn't know this already, the water that's going to be coming to the site will be from drilled wells. And so just to be clear, if you didn't know that already, how many are we looking at? Just 2? Okay. The original proposal on the site was like 25. So then
There
it
was
becomes
originally-
like,
It was originally 25 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
25 wells. It's now
He
2.
joins me.
and then my
sorry.
my concern is certainly mostly in relation to the proposed travel plaza.
Recording in progress.
We already have one. It really is only busy on Friday and Saturdays. That doesn't really do anything to serve our community.
Unmute yourself, Rick, please. Okay, now you can go, Jessica. Sorry.
Thank you. And once that travel plaza comes into place and is there, that precludes any other businesses that could actually serve the many communities in the area that could be served by something more useful. And I think there's some thinking around this that is, if we're going to have a grocery store, it has to be a Safeway. And if we're going to have these things, but we all know that models are changing and a lot of disruption is happening in those areas. And I think that personally, I would like to see, instead of a travel plaza, something that could actually serve us and be thinking about ways that people are modeling their businesses these days that are modern. And to me, a travel plaza is going backwards, not forwards. So that is my comment on that.
John, I'll give you the floor. Jessica, thank you for pointing out you need to go. I apologize.
Thank you. Can you mute?
You're good.
Sorry. Okay, there's some feedback.
You can turn down his volume and
Yes.
talk.
Turn down the your volume and talk.
Okay. I don't know if that's better. I guess my question from earlier was, I noticed that I was in contact with someone in planning who said that the sufficiency review had been completed earlier this week. Then that was pulled for some reason, and I'm not sure why that was pulled, so that was why I had asked that question earlier. Could Gregory or Jamie speak to that?
As far as, John, as far as the application being online, or what's your?
No, as far as the sufficiency review being completed, and then the completed sufficiency review being pulled earlier this week.
So there was a posting that was done on the county website that basically said the project was on indefinite hold. And a bunch of people contacted me about that. And we immediately contacted the county. And the county said, I'm sorry, you made a mistake. And they've updated the website to reflect the fact that they made a mistake. And I had them put that on there. So their communications person is, I don't know who it is or.
Just new is all we
Yeah.
heard is, so yeah.
So if you look on the Missoula County Voice website, there's an apology from the county at the top. I think, is that maybe what you're referring to?
I believe so. I thought there was something, regarding the TIF. There was some questions around the TIF application that resulted in the sufficiency review being pulled.
So sufficiency review is a 15 working day review period for different agencies to comment on. Bonner Community Council is one of those agencies. So that 15 working day review period ended on Friday. And we did get comments from Andrew's department, Economic Development. And some of those were questions regarding water, wastewater treatment plants, et cetera. And so we've been asked to respond to those and resubmit for sufficiency review.
And we've already submitted a response to Andrew as of this Sunday.
Correct.
So we had a meeting with him on Friday.
Okay. All right, that explains that, I guess. So, and I'm sorry, the audio is really funky, so I haven't been able to hear all the comments that I'm sorry from repeating myself or anything that's been said, but, yeah, I mean, I think my main concerns, which I've said before, the travel plaza, I know, talked to many people who do not want to see that happen, and I do not think it's been completely transparent from the beginning that that was what was happening here. Not until our October meeting that was actually came to light that like this is what's happening at this site. I know in previous meetings there had been mention of an auto-oriented business, but it wasn't ever presented to us as we are building a travel plaza here. And that's disappointing and really does kind of make me question what else we haven't been told yet. And beyond that, beyond the travel plaza, I think a lot of hesitations we have are with the growth policy amendments and zoning updates you're requesting that require a minimum of 8 units per acre, but then there's no cap. I know you did implement a self-imposed covenant, and that's great to see, but I mean, it doesn't really mean a lot to us. It's just as easily as you put that covenant in place, you can just as easily remove that covenant. Or if you fold and you have to sell the property, the next owner could pull that covenant and we could be looking at East Missoula 2.0. So my main hesitations are a travel plaza, that commercial designation that allows that, and then the limitless density in the residential lots. I would feel far more comfortable with, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the exact zoning designation, I think maybe neighborhood commercial, that would allow up to 11 units per acre. That would be a meaningful enforceable cap that I think would actually mean something as opposed to a self-imposed covenant. And I kind of feel like we're being asked to approve or write a letter supporting the county commissioners, kind of giving you a blank check on this, and I think that's where a lot of our hesitancies are coming from with this.
Okay.
Okay, may I ask another question?
Yeah, you can ask
Okay.
another question.
If you're putting in a water and wastewater plant, is there anything to preclude whoever purchases the commercial area putting in their own well? So adding to it?
Not necessarily, but I don't know that they would ever need to.
And actually,
Yeah.
if you have a water and sewer district, you're required to connect to it.
Yeah, yeah. So you'd be in that water and sewer district. That's part of the overall plan too, is to create a water and sewer district
For just that lot, not,
For just.
for the
Yes.
Blackfoot Crossing
Yes.
development,
not for the surrounding community.
not for the surrounding community.
I'll ask the question because it was brought up, and it comes down to there has to be a wastewater plant to develop this. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, to develop it
Any notion of attainable housing.
with any notionable attainable housing. Otherwise, we could have unattainable housing with that barely anybody can afford around here,
Or heavy industrial.
or heavy industrial. So, the purchase of the wastewater plant has to have enough taxable property on there for the county to actually purchase it, then to be able not to, if it wasn't ever purchased, then you could charge the highest dollar for somebody that needs it down the line. So then the county and thus as citizens have control over, say, of the water plant, opposed to being a commercial. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And so you have to have a high enough
Recording in progress.
density. I don't know where that came in. That must be Rick again. Oh, okay, cool. So you have to have a high enough density to make it affordable for the county to purchase it. And then thus also you have to have a high enough commercial to also make that enough money for the county to purchase a water treatment plant so our community could potentially buy into it.
Correct.
So that is the reason for the travel plaza. Potentially, well, or something else is like higher. Like you need some commercial that's high, you need a high enough residential, and neighborhood commercial doesn't fit that.
Correct. The key thing is you need to be able to have enough density in both commercial and residential to generate enough tax increment to build the infrastructure such that the prices of the product that we build there is not so high. And so commercial is valued at twice residential. So that's why we've got commercial zone product in there. Plus we've heard from people like Jessica that they want to have commercial space.
And not just housing.
If there was
Neighborhood commercial.
No, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I understand you.
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not either ors. So we're going to have other space in the site that is not potentially that use. So we can have both. It's not an either or type. And then I also wanted to add, we're proposing that the covenant on density is recorded with the property and goes with the land. So that means if we sell the property to somebody else, they would have that same restriction. So I just want to highlight the fact that we are listening to everybody's feedback and doing the best we can to create a balanced solution that I know not everybody's going to be happy with, but the alternative is it's heavy industrial.
So if you, let me ask the Rick over here, the covenant, does
So
that,
He's talking about a deed restriction.
okay.
Yeah. So-
And those are, like, I don't know this is your area of expertise, so the deed restrictions do hold up.
Deed restrictions are recorded with the land.
Okay, got it. And they stay with the land.
They stay with
So if he puts a deed restriction of how many houses per?
I think what we've proposed in the letter previously was 400.
Total houses.
Total, yes.
Okay.
And that basically is similar to the density of what West Riverside is right now.
Okay.
The same amount of acres. It's 8 dwelling units per acre.
It's 8 dwelling units per acre.
It's actually a little more than that, it's like 11.
11. Okay.
So
And
West Riverside, existing neighborhood is on, I believe, 8 unit per acre size lots.
okay. Any other questions from the council? And then I open it up to community.
No.
Seeing none?
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
just add one more?
Sorry, you're first in line.
One more maybe point. If you want as the community council, you could request that the county be party to the restriction on density that we are proposing. They may not go for it. They may say that's out of our purview and we don't want to do that as part of the subdivision, but you could make that request in your letter.
That it
You can wrap
remains.
this whole thing up into a PUD, right?
The county doesn't do it.
Doesn't do PUDs?
So we could, our request could be what you're putting in that deed.
I've
Correct.
told everybody
Okay.
from the very beginning, I have no desire to turn this into a bunch of apartment buildings. So I would be totally fine with a restriction that is ironclad, that just can't get changed. And I've tried to be very clear about that, and every time I've spoken with anybody, and I don't have a problem with that at all.
So, and then your proposal would be the 11, which would be similar to,
It's 400, it's 400
400.
units on the acres.
400.
We have some language that we've proposed that's actually in the county
It's in the covenants.
We've put it into the covenants. We've already submitted it to the county.
Yes.
Okay. Rick, thoughts, just as your expertise on the densities?
Generally, in the state of Montana, you cannot have conditional requirement, they have conditional terms on approvals. They're not legal. But deed restrictions, I don't know, we'd have to
Okay.
hear from the county attorney.
Okay, so that would be a question for the county attorney. Okay, any other questions from the council? Because I really like to open it up to the community.
What he's talking about is a county-imposed restriction. We're offering a developer-offered restriction.
Okay. First up,
No, you're good. I'm gonna.
Affordable housing, you said like 400 units you're estimating?
That would be the maximum we would be proposing to be allowed to be built, yes.
Do you have a number or percentage of units that would be considered affordable?
Right now, Andrew Hagemeyer's on the line. We're working with Andrew Hagemeyer right now to figure out what the county is going to require as part of the targeted economic development district. I think all of you are new. I don't think I've met any of you guys before.
No, my name's Dave.
Yeah, my name's Greg. So I'm the owner. I wish I could come to the 5 meetings before this because I tell you that I'm on the board of a housing nonprofit in Bozeman.
Sure.
I'm the treasurer of Family Promise of Galvin Valley. The only reason I'm doing this project is because of this.
Sweet.
And
So do you guys have a number or a percentage that you're shooting for on?
I'm going to try to make the entire project as affordable as I physically can with TED.
Okay.
But I don't have a affordability number yet.
Okay. And by what metric are you using to measure affordability?
We're looking at and by the way, the terminology I believe that the targeted economic development district uses is attainable housing, not affordable housing.
Sure.
Because there are limits. And yeah, so what was your question?
By what metric are you measuring attainability or affordability when you use these words?
The purchase price of the home,
Sure. And
based
by-
on the size of it.
Right. But what does that mean? When you say affordable, when you say affordable or attainable, there has to be, that can't just be a buzzword, right? So you know that, right? So by what metric are you using, AMI? Are you using AMI?
We probably will eventually use AMI, will be part of that, yeah.
Okay. And are you willing to, you guys already talked about deed restrictions, but have you, are you going to be putting any of those units into land trusts?
We've been having a conversation with Front Staff Community Land Trust.
Perfect.
As well as Habitat for Humanity. So if you talk to either of them, you'll know that we've been engaged with them and are actually looking at possibly bringing them in as a partnership on the deal.
You've been talking to Hannah over there?
No, what's her name? No, I talked with everybody, Kaya.
Sweet.
It just changed the name, Front Staff. Yeah, Brittany. Yep.
And then I haven't looked at any of these documents. Sorry, I wish I should have jumped in earlier on this. But has there been a hydrology study or groundwater capacity study or any of that stuff? All that stuff's done?
Yep.
Nice, okay, cool. And that's all part of the documents that are supposed to be online?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they're actually, a lot of the documents are online, there's one that's missing.
Okay. There's a traffic access and
There's a traffic
impact assessment and all
yeah.
that stuff? Okay. What do you got?
I just wanted to say, I feel like, the whole industrial thing, it's staying in industrial zoning, is traditionally what the neighborhood is. It is an industrial neighborhood. It's not the worst thing in the world, for one thing. Having jobs, creating jobs is something that the community needs. So I just want to be careful that we're not industrial is bad and this is good, because this is going to change fundamentally our neighborhood. So if that's what we want, I think I wish that more people would come to these, because I feel like we could do a better job of getting this discussion out there. because I don't know that people necessarily want to change the fundamentality of our neighborhood. So I just want to be careful that we're not like demonizing something that is part of who we are already.
Yeah, like the existing zoning doesn't need to be a boogeyman.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, and like, I've heard Greg say that a lot, and well, what do you want, like a transfer station, and it's, you know,
Maybe.
sometimes those things are like, we have to put them somewhere, you know? Like,
And on that note, I've spent a lot of time at the Bonner Mill, and I'd rather have that around my house than a travel plaza.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, like I've talked to a lot of my community members and stuff, and like, I don't know, I can't speak for them all, but as someone that lives in the neighborhood and owns 2 houses there, like, I would much rather it be the way it is than having 500 fucking houses back there. Like, I'm sorry, but that seems very, it seems like the wrong place to do it to me. And I'm not a person that's like, don't do it in my backyard, but if you're gonna build affordable housing somewhere, build it somewhere where you don't have to put in an entire waste treatment plant. Like, that's just, that makes sense.
Or where you only have access to pizza and corn dogs.
Yeah, yeah, in a food desert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're like officially designated as a USDA food desert, but I'd be surprised if we're not.
I believe we are. I didn't,
I mean, anything that doesn't have a car has to take a half-hour bus to and from a grocery store, the nearest grocery store, which also is the most expensive Albertsons in all of Missoula.
right.
Because we're getting hit with like that rattlesnake tax. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if we wanted to do like chicken tenders and corn dogs and beer and soda across the street from chicken tenders and corn dogs and beers and soda, like I understand where you need to recoup, but I'm also, I think everyone at this table is on record is like very, 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 very adamantly against that. And then also for the council, I would suggest that if affordable or attainable housing is something that, and no disrespect, like I know what board you're on, like cool, right?
Yeah.
But like also developer, right? If they're gonna throw like buzzwords at like that, like we need to get like some stuff like pretty well documented about like by what metric are we going at? Are we going for AMI? Are we looking at purchase price like as a percentage of the area median income? Are we gonna be putting, you know, a certain number of units into a land trust? If so, how many? And kind of like get that like ironed out rather than just like kind of like a little bit of like a we're gonna try our best type thing. Is my input on that.
Because it feels like once the zoning is zoned, that's it. We're never getting that back.
Especially if like HUDs don't exist here anymore.
Thank you for comments. We can come back to it. I saw some hands up here, so.
In the last few years, is attainable or affordable housing even in a pipe dream in Missoula anymore? I mean, honestly, they're constantly adding more taxes to us. I've lived in my house on and off for 50 years. It was a house that was my parents' house, and I bought it. I have lived there solely for the last 25. And watching those constantly go up. We have a 28-year-old daughter who will never own a house in this town as a single person. Will never, it's not attainable. So I mean, that's my concern is we keep saying attainable or affordable. Is that even available in Montana or Missoula? I mean, and sadly, being in Missoula County, there's a few people making the choices that my daughter will never own a house in this town. She's gonna have to move elsewhere to ever be able to afford it because we also don't have an industry. We had the mill growing up. That is 95% of the kids that went to this school when I was here. A parent or both parents worked at the mill. I mean, that was our industry. So it's all service. There's no industry in Missoula, Montana anymore. And unless you want to work 50, 60 hours a week, making $12 an hour, what's ever going to be affordable or attainable?
It's a good point, but what
Yeah.
to what end?
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, where does it end?
No, I mean, like, but like, what's your conclusion based off of that? So like, if affordable housing doesn't exist, what is your concern or suggestion about this development? Stay industrial?
Let her speak. Just, I mean, I get with that, but I also, I don't want to start an argument.
No, I'm not-
But totally,
no,
no, it's okay. You're asking a good question. I'm
I'm
totally asking, I get you're asking a good question. I just don't, I want to make sure we're in a good space, that we're all heard. So, but good questions, but keep it there and we'll go to Gary. You can answer that. You can answer if you want to answer that, go for it. Just for
No,
clarification. Or where do you start?
Am I in agreement with the travel plaza? Absolutely not. I hate town hall. I refuse to go there. They totally took over Dave's gas station. All of the small businesses, the coffee shop is now gone
Yeah.
because of their breed. So that's the last thing that I want in our neighborhood. But if we could think of, clinics or something where Ace Hardware, something along those lines. I mean, we are getting whatever Dollar General, but something along those lines where there are jobs for the people that are in our neighborhood that don't want to take a 30-minute, hour-long bus ride. Something along those lines, I'm all for. Sorry, no travel plaza.
I have no.
But I also have looked at, through the years, we have had some different companies come into that property. Harris Thermal, great people. The guy that worked there was awesome to work with. The company, whatever. Robert, the last owner before, was a jackass from California. He did not give two hoots about our neighborhood. Greg has taken it on, and at no point am I behind everything, so please don't take that. But he has listened to our concerns, the cars and the junk vehicles, helping us with that, a sidewalk starting this spring. So he's looked at our concerns, and I want to, if we get more homes, is the school going to be able to obtain the additional kids? Is it going to be absorbing? There's so many aspects to this. Affordable housing, I'd love some great new neighbors. Growing up out here, maybe more people would show up at our meetings. Not that I've been here very often, but I don't know.
Gary, unless you,
No, you're-
cool, thanks.
So,
Gary.
I'd like to just address that idea that there's a better place to build, to build affordable housing. And in our community, there isn't. The spaces where that can happen are dwindling. And so what you may or may not be aware of is that our school superintendent came and said our enrollment in our school is the lowest it's been ever. The families are moving away because you can't afford to live there. And so, and we're kind of hoping that it gets affordable so that when we get really old, and we're old now, we get really old, we might be able to move into something affordable in the community. So I think, and I really understand the metric question. I mean, does that mean it's going to sell for 500,000, 400,000, 200,000? My metric is just I'd like to think of a house I could get into for less than 500,000. And so I understand the concern about the metric, but I also have absolute trust in Greg's interest in his community and doing the right thing. And that's why he's integrated so much with this group and the public. So I think he'll do everything he can. But I do understand the concern about density. But on the other hand, if you put one house per acre, it's going to sell for, I don't know, $1 million. So you have to have density to have affordability. And that's a really good place to live. We've lived here for 60 years, and we walked in that place when you could walk any place and pick flowers, and it was just all open. And things changed. I mean, this isn't going to be a big change, but it's going to be a good change. So I hope that it happens.
I will come back to you. I want to open it up to anybody else before, just so we allow space for everybody. Anybody else for more comments?
Hey, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we'll move you to Judy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, and then I'm just putting on my next person that hasn't spoken yet. So you have the floor, John.
So Gregory said that the hydrology report had been completed. Is that for the well, the test of water level?
When the wells are drilled, they will do an aquifer test. But there has already been an approval and a review by DEQ of the placement of the wells, and we actually moved them further away from the communities, the West Riverside community, to minimize the impact on other community wells. Did that answer your question?
So at the last meeting, I believe Jamie was saying that there was going to be a kind of like a stress test on those wells to see how it moved the water table. That has not been completed yet, has it?
That is correct, and the wells can't be approved until that's done.
Okay. So we don't know the impact that's going to have on the water table for West Riverside until that happens, right?
Correct.
But if it
If
it fails, it's done.
It has to be completed to be able to get the water out. Does that make sense?
And it's also,
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out. So if it fails that test, then what?
We have to pass the aquifer test in order to access our water right. So yes.
Okay.
It's essentially dead in the water.
So for the context of folks over there, because I think somebody over there mentioned water, or somebody did.
Yeah.
Basically, we drill 2 wells that are near each other. You have to have 2 wells because they're redundant. They will pump out of one of the wells for 72 hours. 120% of the maximum flow of that well, and they measure other surrounding wells across the property to make sure that taking out that maximum flow doesn't impact surrounding wells, and that's part of the approval process. So DEQ will not approve just like they won't approve our wastewater system if we don't meet their requirements. They will not approve our water system if it's not gone through that. And I'm happy to talk. I'm not an expert at that, but that's what I've learned.
Judy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the concerns that people have. And over the years, I've been involved with many discussions about changes in the community. But the thing really that I'm concerned about is that the building that we're sitting in right now is stressed because it is losing students whose parents can't afford to live in this community. And I'm thinking there are people that are trying to pay $750,000 or $500,000. They're probably trying to pay $400,000 or $499,000. And I think that we have to give them the benefit of the doubt so that we can hopefully save the institutions that we have here that we really cherish and has really been the anchor for this community over the years. Another thing to consider, maybe our lots are smaller, but you still have your own lot and you have access to a vast amount of public land that all of us can enjoy. So perhaps you don't have enough land for a garden. We have a community garden space handy. We have a lot of amenities that can accommodate more people living in a smaller house. But they have their own house, they have their own land, and they can go to water school. And I think that's a plus.
I'll add to the context of that only because I'm at that school board meeting every single month. I'm a mother of 2 children that go to the school, and they have lost 50 to 60 kids, and every one of them is because they cannot afford to stay here and they're moving out of the area. They would love to stay. So they do a really good job of bringing out of district kids to bring into this thing. This school has the ability to grow, but it doesn't have the residents to do it right now. And so they're looking at, so when the school budget and how much the state gives the schools to fund it, they're looking at a cliff and losing funding because they literally don't have enough children coming here. And so to me, like, as a parent, do I decide to stay in a community that isn't providing for my kids' education because they literally don't have enough money to recruit good teachers in here? That's always a worry. So that was, but I'll speak to those numbers on that board meeting of declining enrollment that exists in the school. It means students declining money. So anybody else that hasn't spoken? Yes, you have not spoken.
So we're talking about enrollment, but is that just specific to this school, or could you say that the enrollment's going down all across Missoula and Montana?
It is going out all across Missoula and Montana. It's not just specific to this school, correct?
But hang on a
So
second.
I don't think that should necessarily be a driving factor of this decision.
Okay?
I just want to add something to that. The Bonner Milltown School District hasn't, the only new construction that's been taking place in the school district is the golf course community down the road. There are school districts in Missoula that are overflowing with kids and don't have enough room. It's because there's been growth in that area. And so I know you guys haven't attended a lot of these meetings, but Jim Howard, the superintendent of the Bonner Milltown School, has come to every single one of these meetings and spoken up.
My wife sits up there.
Okay,
He knows what's going
Okay,
on.
who's your wife?
Jessica.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
He's fairly informed, but yeah, I mean, just yes, bursting at the seams, obviously, and they were not a large school to start with, so yes, they were not prepared for that, and but what kind of homes are being built there also, and not the separation, and I just want to say that the one difference between the kind of zoning that I would prefer and the kind you are asking for is the allowance of a travel plaza. That is the only difference in the zoning that you are asking for versus what I would like to see. And that's where my opinion stands on the whole thing. It's a very small thing, but that is,
Yes.
I'll just add my 2 cents. I appreciate all the concerns that have been raised by everybody. It's answering a lot of my questions. I just want to have it on the record that I am adamantly opposed to the travel plaza and a casino or anything along that line. It's a strong no. I don't want to see that. And I hope we can bring in something else in its place that's more beneficial, like a grocery store that has been mentioned.
And one of the things I would like to highlight is there's a lot of fixation on that. The site has 75 developable acres. And one of the key things is when I started this process, before we even bought the property, I went around and started talking to people. I went to Judy at the Historical Museum, and I talked to a bunch of people. And what I heard is that people didn't want everything to be one type. So right now, the entire site is zoned as industrial center heavy, except for 2 lots which are zoned industrial center light. Just because there might be a travel plaza there, doesn't mean that we can't have community serving commercial, because the travel plaza is one piece of that parcel. There's another parcel right next to it that's targeted for community serving commercial.
Yeah.
People raised the issue of industrial lands and jobs. We are not getting rid of all of the industrial lands. We are preserving about 25% of the property as industrial lands for those jobs. The eastern half of the property is being zoned as mixed-use residential and commercial, so that it allows not only houses, but it also could allow for a grocery store, or it could allow a urgent care, or those kinds of things. Ultimately, we don't build the what is going on, everything that's going on the site. So I can't build a grocery store, but I can tell you that we've spoken with people and are trying to get those kinds of things into the community. And so ultimately, what we're trying to do is create something that's balanced, that incorporates all of those various different components. But if you make something that's balanced, incorporates all those components, there's always somebody that doesn't like one part of that, right? So that means you don't do anything. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find something that sort of fits all of those various different categories.
Yes.
You keep mentioning that there's everyone's fixating on this travel plaza.
Yeah.
And nobody likes it basically. So what else could go there that wouldn't? Why does it have to be? You said it wasn't either or. Why does it have to be a travel plaza? Why can't it be a grocery store and just not a travel plaza?
It is a function of what the users are that are interested in the site. I mean, we have interest there. I've shared in previous meetings what the types of interest we've had in the site, and I've done my best to keep things off the site that people have told me vociferously are pretty negative. And these are the kinds of things that, the choices that have to be made ultimately. There is I don't even want to say it again because I've said it so many times. The people that want to use the site are gravel, concrete, crushing operations, asphalt plants, the stuff that's going on at the Black River that has 1,400 signatures on it. That's the zoning we are designed for. That is that is literally what it was designed to have. So you don't even have to entitle it. It's just like you could put it there, and nobody even gets to say anything. So I guess what I would say is I'm doing my best to listen to everybody's feedback and to try to get something that is as balanced and reasonable as we possibly can. And that's the answer to that question, I guess.
I'll take Trader Joe's and Dutch Bros.
I think we all would. Anybody online or anybody else in the community right now? Okay, I'll open it up again to repeat. And I'll try to limit it because I really would rather not be here till 11.
In response, like, I own a business in Missoula, I live here, I want to see growth. I know that growth is important. I think that we all know that Greg is not coming out of this with nothing. Like, he's making a lot of money off of this whole thing. So to say that like, oh Greg, you're so great, like thank you so much, is a little bit disingenuous because you're gonna make probably the most money out of anyone. So I just think that there's no guarantee that any of the people that can afford the houses that are built out there will have kids, will bring kids here, will help us improve these schools. I know people that moved out of that neighborhood because they didn't want their kids coming to this school. Like, there's no guarantee. I agree with Matt about that. So I just want to say, like, let's not forget that, like, this is a money-making operation for people that want to make money. So they don't, as much as Greg can say, like, I've talked to people, I've listened to people, it's still, that's your job. So, like, I don't think we need to, like, get too in the weeds about whether or not that is happening. That's all.
Okay, Judy, and then I'll go back over there.
People are going to make money. Do they want to make all the money, or do they want to make enough money and share with the community? And I get the feeling that if he makes money on this, that's great. He has to. Look what he's put into it already. He's got nothing back. But I also feel he's giving a portion of that back to us. And if an entrepreneur does that, I say go for it.
My concern with the travel plaza is, currently I live half a mile away from the travel plaza. I get the noise pollution from the travel plaza, believe it or not. I hear the sirens, I hear what's going on over there, and I live half a mile away. That's one concern I have about another travel plaza. It brings in crime, it attracts crime. We're on a major drug running route right here. I don't want to see more crime in our neighborhood. And to me, a travel plaza could potentially attract that.
Okay. Additional comment over here? Yes.
I wanted to say in terms of like the whole like transparency and trust and gut feeling type thing, that's all great. But like there is a phrase that I use a lot at my job, which is trust.
But verify. Boom.
Trust but verify. Right? And we can verify. Like attainable housing actually does have metrics that you can attach to it, which is like AMI, what the area area median income is. I mean, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have, and the USDA all have, and HUD all have AMI, area median income for the area listed, and we can do everything that we can to hold the development's feet to the fire on committing to developing, whatever percentage that we can carve out for affordable housing. So I think that there is a trust but verify type approach that I would just encourage over any type of like, you know, we have a good feeling about this or whatever. I mean, it's our community. We should trust it but verify. And then the other thing I would say is just on a personal note for you, Google later front step community land trust. Because I know that I agree with you, by the way, I work in real estate. It's ridiculous. But there are organizations out there that do find ways, very, very good ways, to create affordable housing for people to buy.
In perpetuity.
Yeah, in perpetuity, forever. So they're worth, it's worth Googling them. They're right downtown. They're in Missoula, Front Step Community Land Trust.
Great organization.
Yeah, great organization.
And we're, I am working with Todd at Habitat for Humanity, which would allow us to get to an even level below that. So, I mean, I encourage you to trust and verify.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And yeah, respectfully, yeah, of course. But I just wanted to make sure that people here knew that there are mechanisms to verify affordability and attainability. And, you know, maybe some of us in this room look at like affordable housing and we're like, geez, that's not affordable. But unfortunately, the very best we can do is measure that against statistical, you know, the statistics. And the statistics would say that like a truly affordable place actually does have a mathematical equation built into it for what the average household makes in Missoula County versus the purchase price of the home. So, you know, I just think that like that type of stuff is worth keeping in mind.
Additional comments from the community or online?
I have a question. Do you have a previous project that you were proud of that has affordable housing that we could review? As a trust and verify you as a person?
I don't. I own an apartment building, which I keep it roughly $300 to $400 a month below the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Missoula. I mean, that's the closest thing that I've got. $895 for a one-bedroom is, I think, pretty cheap. That's what we rent them all out.
Additional questions? Comments?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Two things. One is, I was on the planning commission when we rezoned that property to keep it light industrial on the First Street side and heavy industrial, so it was going to be heavy industrial all the way. But I just wanted to add that that property's been sitting there for a long time. There's clearly not much demand for industrial there. And property unused is not working for the community or really anybody unless we're turning it into a park. We are working on making our park better. That's number one. Number two, what nobody has said yet is that without the commercial that's proposed, the travel plaza, there's not enough money and taxation to fund the TIF and the TED to build the sewage treatment plant. And if there's no sewage treatment plant, there's no housing development, period. Because there's zero chance that there are going to be septic tanks there that would cover that kind of people, that amount of people. And my personal feeling, if I wanted affordable housing, I'd love to see a great big single wide mobile home park there. Because we have plenty of those out here, and it's the last form of affordable housing that there is. Even though a lot of people don't like it, it's affordable. And if it's owned by the residents, the rent's affordable if it's a co-op. But again, that doesn't pencil out to provide the sewage treatment plant. And we are running into a septic tank issue in this area because they're old, they're failing, and we don't have many community septics here. Almost every place has their own septic tank, and it's just an issue. So that's just a comment for me. So, and we could use sewage treatment. It's not going to be proposed for anybody other than this area.
And I mean, that brings in the fear of in my mind, when I think about stuff like that, it brings the fear of if these communities can't have water and sewage that is good and starts to fail, then we are turning to the city of Missoula to take it over, and then what choice do we have? Versus owning the community owning a water sewage district, which then you have a choice to go into versus have the only option of potentially Missoula City, which frankly, I don't want to see those property taxes.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
So the Y, which is a planned development, and it's been a targeted growth area for a while. The Y is building 4 different treatment plants and water facilities. They are not hooking up to the city of Missoula. And I think that's a great idea. You know, I think it's great that they're going to have the same type membrane treatment facilities, which are the best kind. They're not going to burden any one part of the Y with the sewage treatment plant. So the four different areas that they're developing out are going to each have their own water. Well, they may have a community water that's unknown for right now, but the Y is going to be independent, and it would be great for the people in the Y that are going to be in those houses if they have stores and jobs and all the other things that go with a complete community. That's what we ideally want. But it's a hard thing. So it's a hard thing to get. As you see, we've had industrial here for a while. But yeah, having those individual treatment plants is great because then you don't have to pay for the costs that go with being part of a big sewage treatment. So, my last comment, and I'll shut it.
Yes.
I got a very quick one. You have an idea in your head about the percentage of your total commercial square footage, I guess, that the travel plaza would take up, so that we can get an idea of what?
So 40 acres of the parcel, roughly, is some neighborhood commercial, which allows both commercial and residential uses. So, sorry, not neighborhood, neighborhood commercial, yeah, NC.
Community commercial.
There's a total of about 70 or so acres that are not the river and not the hill.
Okay.
And so you've got about 30 acres, of which a travel plaza might be on 15 acres. So you still have another 5 acres for another commercial lot, and then another, the balance would be industrial center light. And so the property is going to be split up amongst commercial, industrial center light, and neighborhood commercial. So most of the site falls in a commercial or residential designation.
Okay. So just to sum it up real quick, neighborhood commercial is 40 acres.
Is that roughly?
Roughly.
Roughly.
And roughly, how big was the allocation for the travel plaza?
20 acres.
I think it's community commercial.
Community commercial is the zone.
Okay.
Neighborhood commercial does not allow for travel plazas.
But it also doesn't allow for,
No, that was really like, I looked at all of them, and that was really like the only difference between the two.
and what was the other question? So roughly 40 acres of neighborhood commercial, roughly 20 acres of community commercial, and then the balance being light industrial. And then the difference between 70 acres and 107 acres, which is 37 acres, is public lands.
Okay.
So that's the river, that's the hill, that's the trails.
I was just trying to put a percentage on what seems to be the biggest concern, which is the travel plaza. And you were saying that there's going to be other stuff besides that. But all told, that means that half of the, what would be commercial operations that would be like customer facing, I guess you could say, roughly half of that acreage would be the travel plaza, and the other half would be whatever came in, such as grocery store.
Well, the neighborhood commercial space is also available for those uses as well.
Okay. Okay.
So, we have got stuff planned, or at least people that we're looking for to develop. Because the problem with this neighborhood, one thing that's great about it is there's not a lot of people here. But the downside is it's the opposite of that. And there are spaces across the river where a market was, and I think it closed. It's because there aren't enough people here. And so by bringing some density in, it will allow businesses that don't exist today. But we have to bring the people in order to make that work.
All that totally makes sense. I just, for just, I don't know, future meetings, like if people are concerned about the travel plaza, it would be good to contextualize what percentage of the travel plaza is actually going to make up the total commercial potential.
Yeah, it's a small percentage of it.
Okay.
Okay. Then it comes down to the question of number one on the cons is we all hate the travel plaza. Okay, we'll just say that right now. We all hate the travel
It's not
plaza.
one person fixating on it.
Yeah,
Just
no,
like to
it's not
point
one
out.
person. We all hate the travel plaza. But I know you don't like it either. But the community commercial allows for a larger commercial building versus a neighborhood commercial is only so many square feet. So if we limit it to neighborhood commercial, how many square feet is that?
As far as building size?
Yeah, building size.
10,000
10,000 square feet.
per building.
So is that enough to bring in what's good food store? With Trader Joe's. It's good, it's gonna be well above that, correct? So that's the unfortunate ability, I think, of neighborhood commercial is we don't get as maybe big of a small market. I'm not saying it's not, it's just another thought process of like, how big of a commercial building do we
I'd be
want?
shocked if
So-
Trader Joe's is 10,000 square feet.
Huh?
Trader Joe's is 10,000.
10,000 square
Is
feet.
more than, you think a Trader?
I have a 4,000 square foot building and it
Yeah.
is small,
For sure. I mean.
commercial building.
Yeah, just as
Any size grocery store would do well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know, I mean,
It could be
it's true, it is
half the
true.
size of Town Pump if it
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
right things.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, and but
There's a lady with a shed that is selling food out of it.
goodness, thank
tell me,
goodness. So, I mean, in a letter that we would talk to the county as the biggest concern and con is a travel plaza. Okay? The biggest pro is attainable housing if we can get a number on it that the community is comfortable with, correct?
If there's a number, yes.
Yeah, if there's a number, like this is the upper number, or this is how much percentage of that housing
Or
is for that number, right?
metric.
A metric. So we
Yes.
want to be comfortable with a metric before we make that. Is there a way we could get a metric or close to a metric before?
In your letter, you should request a metric.
Okay, we can request a metric. So we can make a letter that we can change at any point in time as a community in the process. So I want to make that also.
I mean, this is still a letter of endorsement, so I just want to be
We're
clear
not even
about our.
asking for a letter of endorsement.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
asking for a letter of feedback.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I encourage you to put your feelings in there.
Yeah.
I just ask for, there are pros and there are cons.
Yeah.
If you share all of them, I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
So that's not called, it does not have to be a letter of
All right.
endorsement.
No.
Well, that clears something.
Yeah,
else.
no,
I'm really
no.
just
Thank
asking,
you.
can you give us your feedback?
Yeah. I felt this, I'm sorry, Jessica, I felt like that letter was like just not an endorsement at this point.
Okay,
Because it felt
yeah.
like the last 3 meetings is like, we are not going to make a full endorsement.
Okay.
I very much felt like that from the
I
entire
just don't know
community.
if it was actually like.
Oh, maybe it wasn't
stated,
stated,
but
yeah.
that was
So it
our
would be a letter of
concerns.
like, these are our thoughts.
Okay.
This is what we like, this is what we
Sure.
don't like as a general community. And we can put that in there. We have concerns about this, we have this, we would like a metric, so let's request the metric. So, I mean, that's the biggest, I'm just hearing from the group, the biggest pro is affordable housing or attainable housing, but we need to know what the number is. The con is, we all hate the travel plaza. Is there more? Yes, please.
While we're talking about the housing, also, can we be sure to, or can we have a discussion about making a request for the feasibility for putting a cap on the limited density?
Oh, yeah, okay, so we're looking housing and the limit for the density. So that we request that be put into the deed to protect it
Yes.
upon sales. Okay, yeah.
Restriction, yeah.
So that would be 1, 2, so attainable housing based on a number that we can know. Number 2, that we have the request that has a deed for the limit of 400 units, which would be similar to the neighborhood surrounding. And 3, we hate the travel plaza. So those are our 3 points. Yes.
I guess my question for you is like, since the travel plaza is so hated, is there a way to actually get it as far away from the other development? Maybe even put it in its own corner?
It is. The site, the area that we've requested it to be zoned is the furthest location from housing on our site and the surrounding community.
Which still leaves a measurement in yards from the community. I mean,
And then I'll add one more too,
With
but you're
pumps
good.
being obsolete, be honest with me, like, is there any instrument that, like, holds you to any of this?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, like,
Are you talking about the attainable housing?
not all of this,
So it
right? Like, is your, like, we have all of these meetings, and let's say we all get on the same page, we're like sick. Everybody puts in their public comment, the city, or the county feels pretty good about it, everyone's on the same page, and then zoning gets approved, and then you guys are like, blank slate, let's get after whatever we want to do. Is that a possibility? Because like,
So the key things are, the zoning determines what the site is allowed to have. So the zoning is ultimately what is the guiding document.
totally.
I have been listening as much as I can to concerns. And so one of the concerns we had is the density of the zoning we requested is too high. The county can't restrict that. So we volunteered to put a permanent deed restriction on the sites. So-
Okay, so deed restrictions.
Yes.
Okay, so that's an instrument.
Yes,
Okay.
so we are going to place we have offered, and it is in our application to put
It's in a code.
a covenant.
To be clear,
Yeah.
it's in a code.
But we are going to record a deed restriction on the property to make sure that that is a permanent restriction. So that is one of those, yes.
Okay, I know you're thinking there.
Yeah, I was thinking there because I was thinking, how much of this,
And then like
a
attainability.
deed restriction you can take off though?
There are ways, and I've had my attorney look into this closely, there are ways that you can make a deed restriction that's permanent, that's invaluable, and cannot be modified. without-
Sweet. Okay,
So.
that's what I was wondering,
Yeah.
because
And let me give you another one, like attainability. I could go off on a diatribe for this, like, we need to have another meeting where we just sit around and drink beer over a kettle house, because I'd love to tell you why I think this is the best site in the entire state of Montana for building attainable housing. But like, one of the things that's really important is we have the targeted economic development district. That targeted economic development district is the path to creating attainable housing. I believe it's probably the best one for sale attainable housing in the state of Montana. And one of the things I really want to highlight about that is there are a bunch of restrictions that can be placed on the issuance of that targeted economic development district funding. So if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, then I'm not going to get that money, and then I'm going to be not doing that.
right.
So there are a number of ways to control parts of this, but ultimately, like, I can't even control, if I sell a lot to somebody, you know,
That's totally fair, I mean, that's totally fair, but like, you knew what I was getting at, because
Yeah.
you brought up deed restrictions and whatever, right? But it's just like, kind of one of those things where, you know, like, I think a concern for everybody would be like, you know, just to everyone get on the same page, get in support, like, offer support, and then once the zoning is changed and you guys got what you need, that it's like, Travel Plaza is actually gonna be twice as big, you know what I mean? Like, and it'd be like, oh, man. So all that stuff is interesting, and that targeted economic development, you gotta remind me, that's a tax incentive.
it's a tax increment financing district.
Okay.
So basically, the county and the state agreed that in an area that has been undeveloped for decades, because it's missing something, it's missing infrastructure, that basically they agree to defer the property tax for a period of time on new construction that's created on that site. So for example, if a travel plaza or anything gets built on that site, there's new property tax that's payable on there. They agree that if you're creating public infrastructure that can go to that purpose for that 20-year period, and then it returns back to the county. And so one of the biggest obstacles to creating attainable housing is land in the city that has sewer and water is 10 times more expensive than the land that's out here. So land's really expensive. This land is less expensive. It has no wastewater and it has no public water system.
Sure.
So by building on the site, we're creating money to be able to build a public water system and a water system and roads that then don't have to get baked into the prices of the houses.
Sure. And then you're saying, and this makes sense, but you can't take advantage of a TIF and then put like $2.5 million single-family houses on it.
The definition of public, the definition of public infrastructure includes attainable housing. Sorry, workforce housing. And the definition of workforce housing is defined by John on the Milltown Community Council. That's his job at the county.
Cool.
So, and Andrew Hagemeyer is on this call.
Sure.
So you've got people at the county that are basically making sure that are gonna hold our feet to, I think you used the words, or somebody over there, hold our feet to the fire.
Yeah, totally, right?
I'm gonna do it anyways. I mean, nobody,
Sure.
and you don't need to believe me.
Right. It's not that I don't.
No, it's okay.
It's not.
You should be skeptical. If I were you, I would be skeptical. I'm normally the person in that corner of the room on everything I do in my life, so.
But yeah, I mean, mechanisms like that, good to hear about. Cool.
I mean, that brings up the third point that I hadn't even thought about here, and is, do we like the water and sewer to be owned by our community? Essentially, eventually. Or do you like the water and sewage plan?
I mean, do we know enough about it?
Yeah.
Do you like the water and sewer?
I mean, ultimately, like, we've had that conversation in this community so many times. Is water and sewage and
It's been big.
yeah,
It has,
yeah, right.
but I would choose that over Missoula. I mean, if it comes to, I'd choose that over Missoula. Missoula can't handle what it has.
No, I mean, they can't afford to annex this
Yeah.
if they wanted to at this point, so.
My in-laws lived in East Missoula when that was all done. And thousands upon thousands of dollars that came out of their pocket just to hook up. And so, you know, I can only imagine now.
But the same would happen with this system.
It would,
Yes.
but I don't know,
Okay.
I mean,
When we did the community assessment the last time, it was pretty split
yeah,
between people that were interested in having public water treatment and people who were like, absolutely not.
yeah. So that's a split one, but to obtain the attainable housing that we.
Well, that's fine for the site.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
just,
It's
we
for
don't
the
want it to
site.
be compulsory. for
Correct. You're right. Yeah.
Just to be
yeah.
clear, just to remind everybody, we're building a plant for our property.
Exactly.
There will be a sewer line that just happens to be at the edge of the property. So if somebody else
Right. wants to-
after me or you guys come and say, please, then we can do that. But I
Right.
have zero interest in trying to like expand this thing outside of our property.
Yeah. So that's
But I would gladly support.
Right.
So that's a protection for the community that's around there, is you're not forced to hook up to anything, as where the ones before was, if I'm correct, the ones before was compulsory, potentially.
No, I
No?
don't think, well, I mean, that's never been said out loud, you know.
But it was a concern.
I mean, our neighborhood has the highest density of homes on septic in the state of Montana. So
Yeah.
we have, you know, we've been in the eye for a long time with both the county and the state for health issues,
Yeah.
so.
Do people in West Riverside regularly have their wells tested? So they-
Ours get
you know-
tested. Our wells are great.
Okay.
I asked the health department if they've ever actually had any traceable evidence that there are things wrong with the wells in West Riverside, and they could not verify that there were actual problems.
Okay.
There's elevated nitrates.
Our well
Yeah.
quality.
On the north side of our property, the test well had elevated nitrates, which is a result of
Yeah.
this site was originally designed with all of our septic fields on the south side of the property because of the contamination from West Riverside.
Right.
So it is literally
Right. I'm just saying, like, they couldn't say with certainty
Right.
that it was the fault of, you know, I mean,
I think contaminate's not the right word.
Right.
It's just, there's evidence.
Okay, so if we craft a letter that says we're in support of attainable housing as long as we know what the metric is, that would be something that we could have that discussion as to know what the county, how we feel about that. Number 2 would be that we request that the deed be restricted to the 400 units to protect overbuilding, and that was a big concern with it. Then number 3, the water and sewage remains within that, not compulsory to go outside of that, but allowing ability to a home in the area to hook up to per their choice, and of course their money. But it allows that potential to happen. And number 4, we all hate the travel plaza. I mean, we can state that in a letter. We have that ability to state what we want in a letter. Are there more things we want to add? We can start with that, and then as we get the final draft, if you guys as a community have more questions, we can redo draft the letter until we get something most of us can agree on, because I don't think we'll get a room full of everybody agreeing on everything, and I think that's okay, because as I said before, you have a right as an individual to show up to every public meeting after this and make your point be home, and you can just say that community council did a really bad job of representing me. So, and you have that right to do that.
Would you also include in the we hate asphalt plants and gravel pits?
We hate asphalt plants and gravel pits.
Yes.
Yeah, we have concerns about remaining just high industrial, because we have concerns up the road on the gravel pit up there.
Okay.
So I'm good with crafting that, and we can have that conversation too. So. Okay. I suspect my goal is Wednesday. I have a work day tomorrow. I will contact the school to see when the next available meeting is, that they have this space open for us to use, and we will craft a letter. We will give this group and Facebook and it would be great if you could around a sign-in sheet to names and contact information to all the new faces at the meeting tonight for both minutes. We can, if you guys want to give your names, that's great. Feel free to. We can make sure you're added to there or anything else. If you don't have to. So names would be great if you want to. We'd love to have that just to make sure you're on our contact list. Okay, thanks, John.
Contact information would be great, so they can tell them at the next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. Perfect. Because we want to make sure everyone's there. So it would be on Facebook. It will go out into the into our email that goes out to everybody. So, and feel free to bring your friends and other community people to have this discussion again. There will be a draft of the letter that we put together. And so that letter can be redrafted and re-looked at and redone. And then if everyone gets a satisfactory of that. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a quick question. Is there some way we could possibly, like they have in East Missoula, they have like a message board at the community at the beginning that says like, when the public meeting starts, it says like these things. Is there some, can we put that on a future agenda or something that
So,
does that?
does everyone in the room get the agenda via email? Do you? Okay. So we do send that out. That's the closest thing we have to it. That's our mail.
I'm just curious if we could put something on a future meeting about maybe getting a board somewhere or some kind of information.
We'd love to have a sandwich board we could put out there somewhere. But
we might be able to get one of those micro grants for that.
yeah.
Well, that's a great idea.
Discussion in the future. So
Yeah, no, I'll put that on the public comment I like the micro grant idea, signage.
Is there anyone in the meantime
Okay.
against me stapling it to the pole?
No, you can.
Okay.
I don't, unless there's some county restriction I don't know about stapling something onto a pole. Go for it. Sorry, county, if I said wrong there. Worst thing, take it down.
I know we covered this at the very, very beginning of the meeting, and I navigate government websites all day, every day at work, so I know that they're a crap show. Can we do everything? Can we just put that at the top of the priority list to get those plans and documents and everything onto the county website so that we can share a link with neighbors rather than saying, hey, email this person
No.
and ask for this and wait for a response and then
I mean,
download PDFs.
I have it.
What's that?
I have it, I can forward it to you.
I don't want it.
Okay.
He wants
I
the
want a
community.
link
Right.
that I can
No,
share
it
to
is a link.
everybody
It is a
on
link.
Earth.
So they'll put it on our
There.
Facebook page as well.
What? Well, that's cool. I don't want that.
He wants it on Missoula Voice.
Yes.
So
No, I
our
understand. I'm
request
just saying,
is
I
we
do
get
have
this
a
on
link.
Missoula Voice before we have this next meeting also.
Absolutely.
Great,
That's what it needs to be
perfect.
a public.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. So you guys can work on Missoula Voice, please.
I will, and I'm
Perfect.
just saying that if Missoula County comes back and says, we are not putting it out there until you have completed sufficiency review, that is gonna be my answer. So in the meantime, I will send it to the community council and they can share out as well.
And we can have,
I can put it on a public website and give you a link, if that'll help too. Like if this gets shut down by Missoula for some reason, would you like me to send you a link to?
I would love that. Because, I mean, I
Cool.
would consider that publicly available rather than,
We don't control that website.
trust me, I know. I'm not blaming you guys.
So I'm gonna send out a Dropbox link to them, who can send it out to the group until the website gets fixed.
That's fair.
okay, cool. So we'll have those two options. We'll draft a letter anyway, in between there and then. We'll have that, we will not put from this community, what would be a reasonable time frame to have a public thing before we have a meeting? With knowing we've got,
Couple weeks, right? 2 weeks?
how much time do we have? We have till, what, January 20th potentially? So first of the year.
Right.
And then that gives us another, I mean, like, I don't want to push it to the 19th and us not decide on something either. So aim for something so I'll check with Bonner to School to see what availability they have the first of the year. And then we can repeat.
I'm concerned that pushing it, if you're not only gonna have a meeting in the first of the year,
Okay.
that won't get done. That's my concern. Because we're now going on 3 months.
I know.
of this. This has been
I know.
and so like,
So get it up on Missoula Voice or our public link as soon as possible. And today is the 8th. And I'll just have to talk with the school. I don't know if they shut down during the school thing, so, the 15th. I mean, if we get it up in the next couple of days, could the end of next week work okay to start this conversation? If I can get some availability here? Because my worry is that they shut it down for cleaning and then we'll just have to look for something else, which is fine. We can probably find something else in the community, except the Red Barn is really loud.
I think shooting for the next.
And in next week? Okay. And in next week? Okay. So we'll get something public link or Missoula County Voice to put it up. We will request something end of next week, hopefully nothing later than the end of next week, for availability of the school and draft a letter. We will give the 72-hour notice to the community per bylaws and state requirements of public meetings. And just know it's a public meeting. We won't have as any public meeting is, this community council will not be meeting in a quorum type situation to draft any of this or plan any of this. It literally is an open meeting and we want to make that as clear as possible. And then number 4 is you guys as citizens have the right to disagree and show up, so. Okay, are we feeling good? Excellent, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Rick.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back, Rick.
we just emailed a public link to you guys that has everything in there, inclusive of the one item that's missing off their website.
And then you guys, everyone in this room can disperse it to their friends and family and.
And you can share that link and.
Cool.
Okay,
Awesome,
something a
thank you.
little less controversial. Number 2, action items.
I already did that last month and they're just working on it, so I have nothing new.
Playground
I
equipment.
can actually.
Oh, you could probably
I
comment better
can
than I
comment on
can.
it because I did get an update at the last Parks Board meeting, and that is that they are doing a feasibility study on installing that there, if it's in good enough shape to reuse.
So we'll turn that to Jessica's comment from now on. Excellent.
And maybe we should move number 4 up to number 3 because that's a letter in support of West Riverside Park improvements that are due by January 26th. I sent that around to everybody. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I had checked to look at it, but since we don't have I didn't post up a letter. I had drafted a letter, but we can move that too. It's due by 26, so we can do
Yeah,
it
we
next
can move it
meeting.
to next meeting.
Next meeting,
So-
okay. I'll have that letter drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at what they're proposing. I don't see any issues with it, but if everyone.
So we'll draft a letter of support, and you guys can, as community, can comment on that letter if you like it or not. And that is for West Riverside.
Yeah. They're putting some like historical signs and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Okay, and the annual picnic and banner final date. We talked about
President
that.
Rivers is happy to split to co-sponsor that picnic with the community council.
Okay.
To pay half the cost. And we like the idea of the last Wednesday in July.
Last
as a
Wednesday in
standard
July.
date.
Okay,
Does that work for you, Rick?
works for me.
So then
So I will get the costs on the banner
okay,
and we'll kind of kick that around. We got plenty of time.
yeah.
So when I get I'm not very creative, so I'll need a little help there. All right, next item is discussion items. The council take note of available updates in the following areas of interest. Blackfoot Crossing update, we just did that. Annual picnic and banner, we just did that. Signage for Piltsville. We did send a request.
John?
Yeah, we heard back from County Works. They didn't tell the exact cost. They said for permitting, the cost to install the 2 signs would be about $163. The gist of the email they sent to us was basically that they will install it, but we need to pay for it. My thought is we're coming up on the next grant cycle for the Missoula County rural grants. My thought is to wait for that next grant cycle and approach them with a grant application for signage for Piltsville, West Riverside, and Pine Grove.
Well, that'd be cool.
Can I say, should John just draft a letter, like a grant proposal letter for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I did look at the application from last year. I don't know if it's going to change, but one thing is that it asked for support from 2 community organizations, so we could count ourselves as one. And I'm hoping we could also get the History Museum to sign up on the letter as well, or write a letter in support.
Okay.
It'd be so great if I could tell people that there's a sign for West Riverside, not turn at the Milltown post office, which isn't in Milltown. It's actually in West Riverside, so, yeah.
I can clear on the letter and was just kind of going to wait until we got closer to that funding cycle and learn more about the requirements for the 2026 grant application.
Great. Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you, John.
Yeah.
Changes the codes and boards. So you guys have heard a little bit about that already. That's been brought about by the Montana Land Use Planning Act, which was passed by the state, that is essentially told all cities with a population over 7,000 that they have to have their own zoning boards and they need to rewrite their entire codes. And it's going to be interesting for the city of Missoula because part of that code means if you build something under 1,200 square feet, you don't need to have a parking spot. So it's designed to drive growth and allow almost unfettered development as long as lots are zoned that way. So that does not affect the county. The county is not a city over 7,000 people. So we don't have to rewrite our code, but I got kicked off of this consolidated planning board, or I will be as of the first of the year. And I'll be moving to the county board, which theoretically there should be a lot less development in the county than there is in the city. That's how it should be, because we don't have infrastructure and that's what stops growth here. Yeah, that's happening now, and we encourage anybody to apply for the boards. As my last little oomph to the city of Missoula, I had the parcel that is known as the Spire subdivision rezoned from urban residential 3, which is the second highest density, and says in the description that it should be in the city center, which it definitely is not. I had it zoned to urban rural 2, which is the second lowest density. So, I don't know, that'll just probably make things difficult for the city council. But I don't think it will change the subdivision that's already planned there, but.
It won't, you don't think so?
It changes it at plating, but, the subdivision's approved.
Yeah.
And it looked, my feeling was that they zoned it to fit the subdivision rather than zoning it to fit East Missoula.
Yeah.
Because East Missoula is not urban residential
Well,
high.
yeah.
But in the zoning map that we're working on, all of East Missoula is identified as an area of future annexation.
Right, yeah.
So they are zoning all of East Missoula as urban residential high, but none of the stuff that's in the county applies in that map. So they can zone anything they want. That's a city of Missoula
Right.
plan.
Well, we can,
So-
yeah, I'd be curious to pick your brain on it offline.
Yeah, I'd be happy to,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I just like that, we totally, as a planning board, we voted almost, 5-3 against the Aspire subdivision. And the city could care less what our vote was. So, they have the plans to annex that and to make it more like the city than it is like the county. So that's my 2 cents there. So now we have public comment again. Anyone?
And to kind of tack on to that as well, if you haven't been paying attention, the Unified Development Code for the city of Missoula is up.
Yeah.
And so they were talking about some of that high-density development, and it seems like a lot of that stuff is happening on the fringes of the city. So borderline county, very much like Aspire. Aspire is just one thing. There's so many things that could possibly happen in the future, very much like that, to go forward as
Yeah,
well.
to give you an idea, we're supposed to meet 2 times a month, the Consolidated Planning Board. We're meeting twice a week, every single week, to go over the UDC, to go over the new code. And I'm not even in the city, but I'm working on the code for the city.
And
So,
it's important because it's the guardrails.
It is.
It's not going to prevent development, but it's going to tell how you want your development to go so it doesn't get out of control.
yeah. But it's an entirely different kind of zoning. It's a place type, it's a street type, and it uses living area computations now, FARs they're called, and it's complicated.
Yeah.
Very complicated. And so we've got developers on the board, and we've had a lot of input from developers on what works, what doesn't work, what, we need to change. So we are probably about 50% through it, and we have a deadline really we have until May, but we have to really have it done by the end of the year. So that's what's happening right now with the UDC. So the zoning, the way it is in the county, which, by the way, we just did zoning 2 years ago, and now we're having to redo it all in the city, but not in the county. So we've zoned this area out there. The parcel, unfortunately, where that plant is unzoned. So that is why you should zone what you want everything to be in a county, because otherwise you have unintended consequences. So if you don't zone things open land, then they become private property that people can do just about anything with. So.
And I do Lowell Community Council too, and their biggest complaint is all the storage unit that gets built up. They're just storage units, more storage units. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
They don't need infrastructure. Storage units don't need infrastructure. That's why they're everywhere out here.
Well, you can't build a storage unit where it's not zoned industrial now. So that was another thing that we accomplished 2 years ago. So you might notice that they got to expand the one that they have on Riverside,
Right.
because they're grandfathered in. And they're going to build a great big inside storage facility there, and a giant parking area for RVs and things like that. So unfortunately, they had that right, but they did ask for some zoning variances, and they didn't get all that they wanted. So they're going to have to landscape it, put lots of street trees in and things like that to beautify it, so,
Okay, Gary has a public comment.
yeah.
So just a quick note, that this community council came about because of the Milltown Superfund site redevelopment working group governance committee. And a lot of times, there's almost nobody here. But tonight was a really good example of why this is an important group to have in your community. So people can come in and give them a place to talk, and if there's nothing happening, nobody comes. But something's happening.
Something's happening,
And
yeah.
people are here, so.
And we thank you all for coming, by the way,
And
so.
thank you to the council for giving us this chance.
Any other public
Any
comment?
other public comment? Yes.
So this is off topic. Neighbor of mine, I live on Second Street. Neighbor of mine had porch pirates this afternoon or this morning. So
Oh.
just as an FYI, it's Christmas. It is coming. You're having all these packages. Yes, so sadly, they're back in the hood.
And unfortunately, if you think a Ring camera will help you with porch pirates, it does not, because they don't, they can't magically identify every single face that there is, so. But thank you for letting us know that. Any other public comment? It doesn't have to be on topic, on anything that you want to talk about. No? Okay, next meeting is January 12th, 2026, here at Bonner School. I will be attending virtually from Mexico. Agenda items for next meeting, Blackfoot Crossing update, signage for Piltsville, West Riverside Park letter, and in between there, we will have a special meeting also. And now, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
And all in favor?
Third.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, everyone.